right, greetings. Sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. Long time no see, kinda. This is Body Culinary, and this morning, this early day, I'm just doing a check-in because it's been a while since I've been on. And this morning, what I wanted to connect about is you're living a dream, which is a comment left by a subscriber. So shout out to you. And I want to touch on that today, as well as social media and creating the life and the fitness that you desire, especially at age, at any age, right? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Body Culinary, personal trainer, professional chef, and coach to all things whole, fresh living foods and fitness and the garden as a lifestyle. I call these 3 leverage lifestyle practices because they give you back so much more for the investment of your time, your energy, your attention, right? The non-renewable resource of your attention, your time. You can't get that back. So it's up to you. It's your responsibility to do a check-in and to ensure that you're relating reciprocally, that you're getting something back for the investment of your time. Are you getting anything back when you leave social media? Do you feel motivated and inspired to get into action around the things that you say are your core values, right? So hopefully you can garnish something positive and inspirational from this channel. On this channel, I also share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance. And for me, what that has looked like is really embracing and being creative with the features that I've been divinely assigned. My wide Afrocoid nose, my open by all my features. I'm a natural born woman with a womb and a uterus. I enjoy being a woman. I'm also, I'm a mother. I've given birth. I've participated in the magical process of feeding another human being from my own body. That's really, really amazing. And I appreciate that experience. So I share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance because it really can take you for a loop. All the programming and the messaging that you're not good enough and being judged on your looks, primarily on your looks for men and women. This is part of how we're wired, but where it has been taken to, the attractiveness and all of your value is based on what you look like. It has really gone somewhere else that I observe is really triggering a lot of emotional and mental instability and insecurity. So in any event, we're going to touch on that. So feel free, if you garner any value from this channel, like, comment respectfully, subscribe, and perhaps share the video with somebody that could benefit. Also on this channel, I have quite a bit of fitness. Some of it will be going to the private site. And if you're not, are you subscribed to my mailing list? Because you might have missed out on coming to hang out with me in Central America. So when I'm not on this screen, there's so much more life to be lived in the garden, traveling, canoeing through caves. This is why we want to take a lot of things off the table. We want to take hair off the table. If we're not worried about hair and we're not worried about food, because we can't eat, to me, I can't eat any better than whole, fresh living and unprocessed food. So I'm not attached to the labels people call themselves, because I've been on this journey for over 30 years. So I've learned so much. Perhaps you can learn something so you can shorten your learning curve, and it doesn't have to take you 30 years to get clear on what it is that you're putting into your body. Feeding and nourishing your cells and your skin. As somebody that used to have a lot of acne, nourishing yourself with top quality food in a way that is sustainable and enjoyable. That is my lifestyle. I feel so fortunate. So anyway, let's get into this comment. Someone said, what did she say? She said, you are living a dream. You are living a dream. And I thought that was so interesting. And sometimes, things can get lost in translation, or we can mistranslate. So I don't know that she meant anything negative. I don't think the subscriber meant anything negative. Though I'm never sure totally how to take things on social media. I've always been a bit wary. Something about social media, as great as it is, and it gives us access to learning from so many people around the world. I mean, if you're really maximizing social media, good for you, good on you. Sometimes I'm not sure how to take people or the context that they're coming from. So, and I think very deeply when I think living a dream, I've thought quite often, you look at a little slice and you're only given a slice of people's lives. People can determine how much they want to share. You're not obligated to share all of your life on social media. That can be kind of weird, but you're seeing a little fraction of people's lives, and people share to inspire others. But when I think of living a dream, sometimes I've gotten comments from people who maybe think, sometimes I think if folks, I don't know, it's something like projecting that I'm doing something that other people can't do. I'm definitely not doing something other people can't do, but that would be an excellent example, right? I've worn my head pretty close to bald, and I just washed my hair just a few minutes ago. These locks were updated. I haven't done it. I was just starting to cut it, and I said, let's wash it instead of cutting it. So I have very fine, kinky, cottony afro hair, and I've worn it in a peach fuzz, very low to the scalp. I've shaved it bald. I've worn it very close to the scalp. And I really, that's one of my favorite hairstyles. And if this is ever receding back here, I'm going to shave it off. I'm not attached to it like that. But over the years, I would have people say, oh, I could never wear my hair like that. And just one humble person's perspective, I've often thought, I think most women could. I think most women could wear their hair really low and short. And I think it's actually freeing. I have never felt more stunning and sensual than when I cut the chemicals out of my hair. Now, I have some people that are very dear to me that have all kinds of chemicals and processes in their hair, and I did too. So I'm not here to sit in judgment of somebody expressing themselves with clothes or fashion or chemicals. That's not my BI bubble I business. That it's good to know that we have other options, and options that to me quite frankly are less stressful, and that I think really contribute to a solid foundation of healthy esteem when you can feel comfortable without a bunch of makeup on. That's great to be fully expressed, and maybe everyone's different, but it feels to me quite often like a prison in the context of constantly doing so much for external validation, like having to put on like spackle. It's gotten to the point where it's like so many layers on your face. As someone that lives and prioritizes an active lifestyle, for me, it's not functional. And intuitively, I don't feel healthy clogging my largest eliminative organ with so much chemicals. And when I think of the oxides, I'm a health person. I prioritize that. So it just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Now, again, I can appreciate the look and the final result. Though for the health aspects, I even have, I like to do toenail polish, but quite often I'll take it all off because I want to see what my toes are doing. If there's any kind of discoloration, I really want to pay attention to my body. My body is my responsibility. So I want to see what's going on there. I want to make sure that my skin is breathing. So to be putting on chemicals next to my brain, right? Packing it on. I used to have scalp burns from perms. That's telling me something, right? No lie, relaxer. That's a big old lie. And putting stuff in my skin, it just intuitively, it doesn't make sense to be piling this stuff on. For me, even with mascara, I do like mascara. But I remember there was a time I was like, when I took it off, I didn't feel so great about myself. And when I checked in with my internal dialogue, I was like, I don't like that. So it wasn't much. But I took that off, and I had taken off all my earrings for years just to be able to experience myself and to see what my internal dialogue would be. And I just did not like that internal dialogue. It's very subtle of not feeling like, doesn't look quite right, right? That has a feel and a tone to it. And so I would say I've retrained my eyes. So I like the way I look and feel. I like the way I feel without makeup. And I think that is really a cornerstone of of healthy esteem, especially as we mature and as we become more seasoned. Some people would say age, as you become more seasoned, because wisdom is hard earned. So I like enjoying my very fine hair. I'm not twisting it, which has been an epiphany. I don't put any oil in it. I just washed it, finished washing it a couple of minutes ago, so it dries very, very fast. So this is off the table. I'm not twisting. I just came from canoeing a couple of weeks ago through caves and hiking up to the Mayan sacred sites and going to hold gigantic iguanas. Hair was the last thing on my mind. If I was doing other things to my hair, and it's also rainy season, I would have missed out on so much fun. So that's what I mean when I say I've taken a lot off of the table, because my priority is play. My priority is a certain level of fitness. I'm not walking on stage anymore or competing anymore, though being healthy and fit and allowing my body to be at a healthy natural weight, which, by the way, your body does know how to adjust to, is a direct result of being consistent in my movement practice because of how it makes me feel. And I want to be able to enjoy it. Life is going to happen, wrinkles are coming, and all of that. I want to be able to embrace it and still feel a level of contentment and still have a spontaneous smile when I look at myself in the mirror. It's not even about imperfection. Like, this is what it is. So that is something that I've cultivated, right? A healthy esteem of embracing myself when I look in the mirror. I have stretch marks, I've breastfed, and I'm like, that's body positivity for me. That's sustainable. And I'm definitely prioritizing health. So when this woman was commenting, I think it's a woman, was commenting, you're living a dream. I'm thinking, like, well, even when I used to do competitions, right? Somebody, a chocolate woman, said to me, and I worked with her at one point. She said, I saw you across the street. And she was like, I wonder who that woman is with those arms or whatever. And then later I saw her in the restroom at the gym that I worked at. And she said, oh, I was thinking, like, I hate her. And I was thinking, why would you say that to me? I didn't think it was funny. Um, there weren't that many Black women and Black women trainers. And at the time, it wasn't a whole lot of Black women fitness competitors, especially with natural hair. And so I said to her, don't say that to me. I don't like that. She was like, well, I didn't mean anything. I was like, yeah, but I'm in the gym before the clients come in on the stair mill, which is actually pretty challenging. It's pretty hard. So what you could do is come early and get on the stair mill next to me. But to say that you hate me, I was like, that's not funny to me. I don't take that as a joke. And I think we're very desensitized to a lot of the things that we say and how they make us feel and make others feel. We don't think about how we affect each other. And so when someone is saying you're living a dream, I thought, well, what part is a dream? And hopefully you're thinking, well, is this a dream, any part of what I'm doing in the garden of fitness? Is it any part that you want to experience for yourself? Because I'm not doing something other people can't do. I get up early. That has a cost to it. Most people don't want to get up early when it's chilly outside, or I just want to roll over and go to sleep. It takes a lot of discipline, admittedly, to be consistent when you don't feel like it, to get to a point where you miss your movement practice because of how it makes you feel. That is something that the average person doesn't possess, and it is something that you have to cultivate. I'm actually very protective of it as someone that comes from a family of morbid obesity, which was waiting for me, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. So sometimes I sit and I marvel when people say you're living. No, I'm not living a dream, because I know what it's like to drag 50-pound bags of soil. So I'm not the biggest flexer for social media. I don't have a whole bunch of lights and other stuff, and I can enjoy that stuff. But the reality of the garden, it's a lot of work in the garden, though it is very rewarding. It gives me back so much. It has so many challenges, right? Because it is hurricane season, but it is so challenging. But when I tell you the sense of accomplishment, when flowers come up or when I'm growing something that I can eat, there's nothing that compares to that. I love fashion. I've purchased so many clothes in my lifetime. It's not the same. I feel more nourished and more fed by my work in the garden. I feel more nourished and more fed and by my movement practice, being consistent with that. The type of mental toughness and mental resilience that I demonstrate to myself is give me so much more than the clothes ever could. And I'm actually going through another cycle of decluttering, which feels really good to not have so much stuff. So when people say you're living a dream, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's a projection, right? And it lets us off the hook when we say somebody's doing something that we think we can't do. It's actually a lie, right? And we tell a lot of lies to ourselves. Unpopular opinion, we tell a lot of lies to ourselves. And I marvel, as someone that's worked in a holistic health center, one that's very popular um, for years, and that sat at the second half of the consultation. And many people that were coming because there was nothing else the doctors could do for them. So they decided to take on juicing and fasting and so on. And I would just marvel sometimes at when the pain wears off, the different things. And I'm a big eater. I love food. Food is very sensual. But when you're dealing with cancer or having parts of your body removed or surgeries to your innards, right, your internal organs, or now when you have to be dependent on medication, the split, I call it a split mind, the cognitive dissonance, which is something that, is an interesting aspect of humans. I marvel at sometimes where, like, basically you have something propping your arteries open so you can stay alive, so blood and nutrition can get to your heart. You have stents propping your heart open. You barely made it out of certain diseases, yet we still will go back and eat the things that cause the problem. That to me is astounding, because when you want to talk about a scared straight program, seeing so many people suffer, especially personally in my own family, right? Just my experience. Drugs and alcohol addiction, and then I wouldn't just say food addiction, but self soothing with food. Talk about a scared straight. And I still like to eat. But for me to not eat any junk food at all and not to eat processed foods, to me is magnanimous. It's unbelievable. So I consider myself fortunate. But that also was extremely intentional, due to a lot of intentional education, a lot of investing in education so that I could get clear, because I knew and know what I am up against. So I've said many times to people I work with, I don't take addiction for granted. I don't take um, conditioning and programming of human beings for granted, because, I mean, come on, nobody really wants to be unhealthily overweight. Who really wants needle marks in their hands? Who really wants their teeth all mashed up from drugs? So there's something that is going on there, and I've always been curious about self sabotage and self actualization. So when someone is saying that I'm living a dream, I could really go out and do all different types of things to my hair, but I'm crystal clear on the results. And I'm crystal clear, perhaps it's me, I don't have the bandwidth to keep up with turning myself inside out for external validation for ghosts on the internet. I just don't. It feels so unsettling to me. It's not a priority. But everybody is at a different space, and that's not right. And I'm not making it wrong. But I'm crystal clear in terms of what works for me. And fitness is a priority for my mental health, my emotional well being. The garden is now a part of my standard for my life. I must always have access to a garden, whether that's a community garden, a windowsill garden, because I'm deeply connected to how it is triggering me, actually, how it is making me feel. Right? Peaceful consumption. It's been decades of me on this path. And for many years, of not eating animal flesh, I'm not better. There were times, out of high school, I became vegetarian, then vegan, and had my son at home, and was introduced to living foods and raw vegan foods in 1992. And so I lived that way for some years. And then I went back when I got into fitness competitions, into chicken. And at first it was fish, and then eventually trying I think it was turkey and then chicken. And then at some point I had gotten trophies and stuff, and I was like, I just don't feel like eating it. I'm not drawn to the violence and then the mercury and the fish. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't know if we're going to get clean food anymore because we have so, as a species, tampered with the planet. But then I also have to think sometimes I marvel, like I could go right out in my yard and I don't think of it. It's organic greens because I haven't put any sprays in it. And it's like, it's right there. And that's something that I always wanted. So I put work in, a lot of work. I can't have, I often say I have a garden manicure. I can't have long talons and work in the garden and I'm sweating. Uh, but it feels good, the sense of accomplishment. So when someone says I'm living a dream, hopefully, if it's part of that dream that inspires you, then take it on because you can't tell me whether I'm in Brooklyn, Belize, Barbados, anywhere. I'm going to have a garden. I'm going to give myself access to sunshine. I'm going to create a play space for me because I prioritize the movement. It's actually, I realized many years ago, it's therapy. It's therapy. And um, being cognizant and honest about stuffing myself with food or self-soothing with food. It's a lot. It's a lot more. People usually want the recipes, which I get it, and they want you to give them a workout plan. But these things give you access so you could really, when you take a lot off the table, then you have access to really deal with what's underneath that's driving a lot of our self-sabotaging behaviors and how we are canceling out self-actualization. Well done, staying on the path. Perseverance is key, Evie. Well, thank you. Um, it's for me. It's not for, definitely it's not for social media, right? It's for me. It's my therapy. It's not a pass or fail grade. And it's nice, when people say well done. But I don't know. Again, I think like, is this what people desire for themselves? And I just wonder. I wonder again, as someone is fascinated, because to me, like I said, drugs, alcohol, self-soothing with food, and substances masquerading as food has taken out most of my whole community. And so I'm fascinated because I was wondering, as a young woman, is that was going to be my trajectory? Is that what's waiting for me? Am I going to eat myself to death? And let's not get it twisted. You can be unhealthfully overweight as a raw vegan. That's why I say it's not just about the label. It's really about the results. So yeah, it's easy to ego trip and say I'm a this or a that. The label to me is a distinction of what you would like to be served, right? If you want flesh or something processed on your plate, but you could still be eating raw vegan fruits and vegetables and have a nasty, funky attitude, or just not a nice person. So the food is huge, but it's not the only aspect of when it comes to health and vitality. I'm looking for longevity, right? I never wanted to be a bodybuilder or a fitness person where my back is all toe up, or, I look at Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman can't stand up. I don't know if y'all know who in the bodybuilding world is, but Ronnie Coleman, he can't really stand up and walk. And so I knew from a young age, my eyes have been set and comparing and contrasting. I'm going for the longevity. I want to jump rope. I want to jump double dutch. I want to run and play when my hair is white, and my hair is going to be white. Do you have gray? Yes, I have some grays, and that's okay. I'm looking forward to embracing it. And I can't sit here and tell you that's never, I never have thoughts like, oh, that style looks good. Should I go slick down my hair, or am I going to dye my hair? I was like, I don't want to deal with that. The scalp burns, the ears being singed. That was enough for me. Am I anti makeup? No, I might decide to play in some, but it's nothing, especially like as a person that has had so much acne and hyperpigmentation, and also to be a woman in another phase of life, to be able to enjoy my own hair and skin without having to alter my body parts. Like, I'm prioritizing having tetas that are not full of growths and tumors and cysts. I'm like, and this is like what I want. I'm like, How are we not getting it? How are we not making a connection? Do we really think? And I'm not here to tell grown folks what to do, especially if you're not paying me, not doing it. But do you really think that putting on tons and tons of makeup, right? Sometimes with the word meat, you don't think animal cadaver, right? Or makeup. Again, I'm not making it bad or wrong because I'll slap some nail polish, but you can buy some. It's pricey, some non-toxic nail polish. But you're not thinking about what the thing is, right? It's like Pampers, it's really diapers, right? Meat is animal cadavers that are decomposing. Maybe they slow down the process. Makeup, if you think of the oxides and a lot of the toxins and the chemicals, the sheer amount of chemicals that are entering into the skin and near the brain all day, do we really think that has no effect on our health? Come on, that's cognitive dissonance, which really is like a lack of being responsible for ourselves, right? Of having discernment. I mean, don't get me started. Sometimes I would even think this one woman's perspective. Sometimes I think about it every year based on an assignment my godfather gave me years ago. I think one of the reasons why we embrace religion so much is because it lets us off the hook of being accountable because so and so is taking the rap. So you don't have to be accountable. That's deep. That's a mindset. So you don't have to be accountable. Everything we do is cause and effect. That's just universal law. I didn't make it up. So there's nothing that we can do, or there's nothing that you can put into your mouth that does not affect your internal organs. We're so focused on what the skin and what the hair looks like. But if you could see what was happening with your liver being hardened from all the starch, former junk food junkie here, former barbecue potato chip junkie, you're stiffening your liver, right? I remember there was a course that came out offered to many years ago. Now it's more common online. But there's a course where body workers could go and view cadavers in order to see the anatomy. Now I wasn't into that thing, but I'm so fascinated by the body and what's going on inside. I was so keen to, I didn't get to participate in the class, but now a lot of it is online. You can see the organs and stuff inside. And I even went to this, what did they used to call it? It used to be a human anatomy. I think it was called The Body. And it was an exhibit in New York for a while. And one of the cadavers, they had a great display, was of an overweight person. And so you got to see the omentum, or sometimes it's also called a diabetic apron. The stomach is very small, by the way. And it's so distended, you got to see a lot of the adipose tissue. They broke this body down into to layers. Did anybody see that exhibit, The Body? And I thought it was just so fascinating to see the inside layer. Now you can look online and you can see what a clogged artery looks like, right? I remember years ago looking at I have a list, atherosclerosis, and looking at a surgery of it being removed out of the arteries and what it looked like. Working at that holistic health center, back in the day, people would bring in pictures of the tumors and the cysts that were being removed from their wounds. So my mentor, my first mentors many years ago, many people don't know, a couple of people know, but one of my first mentors years ago as a young woman was Queen Afua. And she was has always been on a mission to save women, especially Black women's wombs. So I just got to see so much, in my early 20s, so many healers, so many interesting personalities that came through that door. But I'll never forget the first time a woman brought in pictures of her tumor and her cyst. And if you've ever had really hard phlegm come up, it's like yellow and it's hard, and that's what it looked like. So if you just put two and two together, I'm like, why are women not making the connection and don't have a sense of urgency around what we're putting into our mouths? Like, what is the disconnect? Why is there, I would even say, a lack of presence and lack of honesty about the effect of what we're doing to ourselves, what we're putting into our bodies? And it's like, I don't know, we're not accountable and responsible because, to be quite honest, my personal perspective, many years in body work and fitness, we would have to let go of a lot of our self-soothing habits. And that is terrifying because it's drugs. It's socially acceptable drugs. Nobody's going to bother a mother because we're feeding everybody, right? But we're not being accountable. And I totally get body positivity. Again, I'm going to celebrate my toes, because these are my toes. These are my toes, my lisp, my stretch marks from giving birth. I totally get body positivity, and actually I'm inspired by some people that I really admire have more voluptuous, curvy bodies. I get that part. But also, I think what has happened, and I saw it coming down the pipeline, is that what is being marketed to us is to be very complacent with our numbers, which are in the toilet. We are actually in crisis. And there's no way that you could tell me that, and it's not the only aspect of being unhealthy, because you can be slim. I had an uncle that was slim that had type 1 diabetes, and his leg was amputated. So everything is not about you being big, but it's a fact that being unhealthily overweight, I've seen it generations in my family, is directly linked to the comorbidities, diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure. Additionally, our quality of life, what we'll be able to do, is going to be greatly diminished if we don't handle these things. And these habits and our ways of consumption are deep rooted habits. It is no joke to change your lifestyle, which is it's why most people are not consistent. Most people are non-compliant. Most people really don't like to do diet journals, because you would have to be honest and accountable as to what you're putting into your mouth. And that is very, very confronting. So, as far as living a dream, I'm not doing anything that anybody else can't do. It is possible to travel. I mean, more than ever. With all the stuff that's going on, it's more than ever is it possible. And it's also, we like to look at the end result, but we don't want to, nobody really wants to see the work, right? Many people, well, unless you knew how relaxing it was, many people don't want to see the whole process of the garden, right? We had lost a lot of trees in several hurricanes. That was a lot for me and my sister to put back. That could be very daunting. I actually cried because there were banana trees that we cultivated from little tiny cups that grew and gave us bunches of bananas, which are miracles to sisters from Brooklyn. But the garden has taught me so much. The garden has taught me more than going to church ever did. Common sense lessons that the garden can help bridge a lot of the disconnect. So people used to laugh at me as the personal trainer that would tell people to start a garden, right? It wasn't just for calorie burn. Most of us don't have the mindset, the clarity, the mental resilience, the ability to push through what is uncomfortable, when we don't get our way, when we're facing rejection. And so a lot of what we're looking for is right underneath our nose. So the recipes are great, right? Giving people workouts is great, but we think we can just buy our way into a mindset, and that's just not how it works. Which is why fitness and consistency is elusive for most of us. So, am I really living a dream, or are we sitting? Because that has been me, sitting around as voyeurs through these TV screens, these handheld TV screens, eating potato chips, looking at fitness videos, and looking at our favorite fitness personalities, talking about, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. Or we're looking at things that have 20 million lights that have been orchestrated, and you can't see, they're even bikini competitors. I've competed. There are bikini competitors that are taking PEDs. For those of you who don't know, those are performance enhancement drugs. So at the point, it's not just the big bodybuilders, but you have bikini models also taking performance enhancement drugs. You guys don't know that. I know that. Or people that are in the industry, but you can justify stuff. Some of my favorite, athletes, you can't take their work ethic and their training away from them. But there are also a lot of it's a lot of body dysmorphia and eating disorders, even in the fitness community. So a lot of what you're seeing is not it. So I always knew from a young age, I was like, give me the consistency, give me what I can do sustainably over time, right? As I know I'm going to age. And I've always had my eyes peeled for those women that were living their best life, like not just with accomplishments and degrees and money, yes, and being able to sustain themselves, but also who was having fun, who was healthy, who had muscle tone, who was out there dancing. I've always had my eye peeled for those women. And things happen, but that's my intention, to be that woman that with white hair, whether it's locked, or whether I got a little peach fuzz that is, gray and white. I am intentional about being that woman that's able to run, jump, play, kick, push, garden, jump double dutch when I'm 100. That's not coming out of a vacuum. That's intentional. That's something I have to invest in. The fitness is not coming without me getting uncomfortable. It's not happening without me sweating profusely. Yeah, that's a fantasy. uh, did diet help hair growth at 50 plus? Of course. Of course. This is what I'm saying sometimes. How we're not getting this? The hair is growing out of the scalp. The nutrition is here, right? Everything is going down this way. The heart is circulating and pumping blood throughout the body. People focus on diet. Your lymphatic system, right? Your lymphatic system is a body sewage system. It cannot, it needs to be pumped, right? But it cannot get pumped if you do not move vigorously. So we're spending so much money, but there's a huge disconnect. You're eating food, but you're sitting down all day. If you sit on your backside, your glutes and the three heads of the glute, like a diamond, medius, minimus, and maximus, it's flat. But you folks are so focused on looking at the aesthetic, they're not thinking of the function. If you need to sprint to get out of harm's way or climb over a fence, instead of toning and activating and turning on that sleepy glute that you've been sitting on, we add, I'm not making it bad or wrong, because grown folks gonna do what grown folks do. We add big sandbags of silicone and other stuff, and you inject the liquid and you inject it onto your butt. Does this have nerve endings in it? It's not live tissue. So you can't tell me that we're not. I'm humbled. I'm humbled by the fact that we are a type of animal. We follow the group. We have a hive mind. We like to think we're so original. No, because there's something called same face. Many of us are altering ourselves so that we all look the same. We're cutting off the very stuff that makes us look unique, right? So again, I can appreciate a little Pixie or Halle Berry. Love me some Angela Bassett. Shout out to, I don't have that. I love Valerie June's hair. That's not what I have, right? This is it. This is what I have, but we're altering ourselves so that we all look the same. Can you honestly really sit and say that you're not influenced by other women, and especially by celebrities, these fictitious people who you don't know? Then we're not being honest. We follow, we mimic. It is very important to humans, especially women, to fit into the group. A lot of times to our own demise. I mean, how else can you justify? I remember the first time, I was going on the roof with some other little girls to smoke a cigarette because I wanted to fit in. And it tasted nasty, right? We do a lot of things that are not even pleasant, but we do a lot. We buy into these narratives and we follow and we mimic to our own demise. Emphysema is no joke. What happened to the commercials? They used to have commercials back in the day when somebody had a hole in their throat and then they would put the cigarette to the hole in their throat. That stuff horrified me. So there is a massive disconnect. We are desensitized to violence, not only externally, but we're desensitized to the violence that we're inflicting on our own organs and our bodies. It's fascinating. We are a fascinating species. We're also destructive and self-destructive, but we are a fascinating species. So I'm equally fascinated by self-actualization as much as I am self-sabotage. And it's humbling. It's humbling to try to break addictions. I'm just so grateful I didn't get into the drugs, and the alcohol. And now, just like a lot of people have been dying in the fat positivity community, a lot of the influencers, now I'm starting to see some people I admire saying they're stopping weed, right? We're not thinking. The concentrations, what do they call it? The TCH or whatever that stuff is. I was just talking to somebody who's a lot more versed in weed than I am, spoken to several people. The concentrations are not the same. So once again, I got to wondering, women, we're the ones that our bodies are wired to cycles. Women, because we don't have as much brawn and muscle and testosterone, we have to assess the area for safety, right? Who's around and to keep ourselves safe and our children. So how are we not connecting the dots come on, let's just keep it real. I'm going to keep it real and I'm going to jump off of here. Why are we not connecting with the rates of autism? I saw this woman the other day. She got online. Shout outs to her, celebrating herself and her children. And I don't know if she stopped at 3, but she had several children with birth defects. And I'd make the best of any situation. But at some point, if you don't see or the information is there that there's a defect between the mother and the father in terms of, because this stuff now can be known, right? And if you know that when you match, it's not a great match, that you're likely to have defects, why wouldn't you stop? And again, women, we get cheers and everybody was cheering her on and social media support, and that's great. But at what point do we think long term, not just about what we want, about how we're affecting the lives of the little humans that we're bringing here, right? When you know better, you do better. And we could talk about men, right? And Black folks could talk about our vanilla counterparts. But at what point do women take accountability, right, for creating humans in duress, right? Because we want to get some pleasure. And we're not thinking this person smokes and drinks. I'm smoking, I'm drinking, I'm having a good time. I'm not necessarily wanting to parent, right? This is our responsibility. We are responsible for what we're bringing here. And we don't want to hear it. It's unpopular. So we don't want to take the critique. We don't want to correct it. It's too easy to look at men and what it's enough responsibility to go around for everyone. That's why I know me. I was like, if I can't outdo myself the way I had a child the first time, then what am I bringing this little human here to experience, right? And it needs some forethought. If you're having children with everybody's high, drunk, eating non-nutritive food, is it any wonder why the children have autism? Come on, ladies. Come on, women. Women. We're so focused, Roe versus Wade. And I wondered about this from a young woman. What would it take for us to stop putting ourselves in harm's way? See, because then you don't have to go on a tirade, angry at this person, that person. Remove yourself from harm's way. Maybe it's because of all the junk we're eating, the brain is not processing properly, but our discernment is not there. And we also do so much to fit into our own demise and also to the demise of children we're bringing here. Are we even thinking about being able to protect these little humans? They're going to need a lot more than little name chains and jewelry and to be showing off on social media. What will it take for them to be able to flourish creatively? What will they need to be? What will they need to be mentally and emotionally stable? What will they need? What will their needs be beyond us? The woman that has the children with birth defects, when they're gone, and if all the children have birth defects, the siblings, then how are they taking care of each other? Are you thinking about what kind of medical plan will need to be in? You know what I'm saying? So we want to have an experience, but the cognitive dissonance, the split mind, it's a mentality, and that mentality is operating in terms of what we're choosing to put in our mouths. That mentality is operating when we don't get up and we don't take care of ourselves, right? So we're going to put it on our spouses and our children, which I would dare say is traumatizing to your children when you don't take care of yourself, right? They may not have the savvy language. It's not fair to your children, but that's a whole nother thing. It's all about seeing the patterns. I would agree. Hey, this is so true. I know that my husband has a pattern of having children that have some kind of problem. He's older and I already have 2 children, so I'm not going to. Responsibility. At what point do we come inside the inner circle and have these conversations, right? It's all about, girl, you look good. Meanwhile, I don't want my sister. I have a deal with my sister. She's not going to be telling me I look good if I put on 20 pounds of weight, because we know what that means in terms of our family, our mothers with diabetes, right? And I'm quick. Some people could say it's harsh, but we have a deal with each other. I got less than one hand. A couple of women sisters, we have permission. You dating a knucklehead? Nah. Tell me the truth. I got some poo-poo on the back on my shoe. Tell me. Because if somebody is just an ego stroker, I can't trust you. I don't need abuse, but I can't trust somebody that's stroking my ego. But this is something that, is humbling how much, and I understand where it comes from. We are desperate for validation. We're so desperate for validation. We don't even protect our children. We don't protect our. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So they've been a lot. That's why I say all the time, wisdom is hard earned. So if you see that there's something that's a responsibility to the next generation, you could take that creative energy and give birth to something else, like with what do you call more unity farms, which by the way, all by your garden is looking phenomenal. Good for you, because I know that's been quite a trod. It's been like a long journey. Also, because of you, I've been eating healthy, cooking home meals, and exercise. And thank you for everything. You're so welcome. So that's what I want to come together about. I don't need perfection. I do need respect and reciprocity. So that's why a lot of times, and it's so interesting. My mics and stuff weren't working. I bought all these new mics and they weren't working on social media. So I was like, maybe that's my sign to spend even more time in the garden. Can't sit here on social media. There's a whole garden to attend to. There's workouts to be had. I got bunnies and a cat just had kittens over here. There's so much life to be lived. There's so much life we're leaving on the table. There are a lot of experiences to be had out there for women that younger women who may be concerned, am I going to get married? I know what that's like. So you're like, am I going to get married? You start finding any knucklehead to settle with, right? Or am I going to get married? I'm single. I want children. So we're stopping right there. We're not seeing the possibilities for ourselves. But there's a lot of possibilities out here. So if you're eating a certain kind of way, you're already lining yourself up for possibilities, because you can't have all fantastic experiences if you don't have health. You won't have the energy. You won't have the vitality. You won't have it to have new experiences. You need a healthy body to go up to the Mayan sacred sites. You know? So we don't have the energy. We're just gonna be licking the dust from the potato chip bag and boys watching through social media. And many of us may not admit it in our quiet moments, but we've become very complacent. Social media can make you very, very complacent. So all we have to look forward to is now everybody has a whole room full of clothes. It's like 365 days in a year. We can't wear all the clothes. I love fashion. I like nice things. But I can tell you over the years, that was land, that was travel, and it's just not giving what it's supposed to have gave. I find it like it's like a prison. Yeah. So, it's the clarity. The clarity. So to eat, yes, diet or nutrition or your consumption patterns, of course, goes without saying, is going to contribute to your hair growth. That's another thing. If you're putting all the stuff on the outside, but you're still retoxing, does that make sense? You're retoxing. Many of us are retoxing. Ask me how I know. Retoxing more than you're detoxing. Does that make one iota of sense? We do a lot of things that don't make sense, and it's a pattern. We do it collectively. It's reinforced in our social narrative. But what do I know? So it's been a while since I've been on here. The clothes are a prison. And when I say a prison, in terms of having so much stuff to manage, it's that I find it extremely, it's stressful. That's maybe folks that have another kind of experience. But I think we're overcompensating for, the common narrative is you can't have any trustful relationships with women. And the men are all dangerous and they're acting out of pocket. Some of it is true. But then if we're not careful with this narrative, what else do you have to look forward to but potato chips and being a voyeur on social media? So if we want good relationships, perhaps we're going to have to learn healthy boundaries and to be that person that we want to be in relationship with. If you don't see it, we're likely going to have to create it. Yeah, so it's too much stuff. Too much stuff. We got all of this stuff. We're working hard to pay for fancy storage rooms, but we don't have time to move. That's like that. Sometimes I'm marveling. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So have we just become complacent? We're just slave workers. We're just slaves. I don't have nothing. I don't have any time for anything but just to go to work and pay for the rent. And if that is the case, like that's something to get clear on and come up with another strategy to work that, because so what are you living and working so hard for? And in the end, you're gonna have to take and give all of that money back to somebody for medication and walkers and so on. We're ending up in nursing homes earlier because of neglect. neglect of the organs, neglect of the body. The body can't take all this recreational eating. Yes, it tastes fantastic. It's a party in your mouth. But the organs are suffering. Can't you see the organs are suffering? The acne, if I break out, is telling me. My skin is telling me about my liver. So I'm like, maybe I'm just super simple. Maybe my brain is just wired a certain kind of way. I'm like, I just think of like my grandma Lou, like with common sense. This seems so simple. And then some people say, Kwas, it's not. It's not that simple. That's why I don't underestimate conditioning. I don't underestimate trauma and PTSD and complex PTSD. I don't underestimate habits because you think it's so easy to change until you try to drop it, right? Because then stuff is going to come up to the surface. That's why I like to take a lot of stuff off the table. Take it off the table so you can get to the root of what is driving the behavior. So am I living the dream? Okay, but it's something I'm creating. It's something I'm intentional about. I drag 50-pound bags of dirt. Doesn't make me any less feminine. Yes, if I'm getting out there, I'm doing pull-ups. That's something I've been cultivating for years. Not perfect. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? I'm consistent though. Pretty consistent. I know what it's like to put myself, and I invest in myself. I invest in coaches. So it's not living of a dream, right? I'm putting in the work. I'm investing in myself. I pay for coaching. I prioritize real food. I'm not eating trash or garbage. I'm not eating it for my own mama. But that's the standard I have set for myself. What standard have you set for yourself, right? I'm intentional about really embracing what it is that I have. That's a value for me. The fitness and then being able to be independent, life can still happen. That's a value. That's a non-negotiable value. At this point, the garden, that's a standard. That's a must. That's a non-negotiable. I must have a play space. I must have all my kitchen toys and doodads. I must have my garden. Don't come here trying to make some comments about my hair because you'll get canceled. Oh, you can, but this is it. Either this or I'm going to shave it off. So I've taken it off the table and it's something I've been in touch with. Who knew? I didn't know what my fine hair was going to look like, and it's still doing its own thing. The interesting thing, I don't even think about it. They come together very quickly. That's such a wonderful relief to not have to think about my hair. Oh my gosh. That's a load off. And again, I can appreciate the other styles, but you have to know what food works for you. And also sometimes a big part of oftentimes that's identifying what's not working, right? If you stand back and look at patterns, which we should definitely be able to do, especially as women, you should be able to stand back and look at the patterns. When I do this gives me this result. When I eat this, my body is stuck at an unhealthy amount of adipose tissue or weight, right? When I eat this, my body is smooth. My elimination is smooth like the ocean. So that's all I got for you today. This is Body-Culinary signing off. Get some decluttering in. I invite you, as I've said before, perhaps to replay these videos when you're doing decluttering. One of my secret weapons is to create support. I like to do what works. Support works. Specific support. So support your circle of influence. Who is in your top 3-4 people that you get up, 5 a.m. We've been consistent. We're already in the 6 month, with the halfway mark of the year. Is your fitness calendar filled up? Why not? I'm like, as women, what are we doing? That makes no sense to me. Why can't you run, jump, kick, and punch? Why are you not consistent with your fitness? We're consistent with makeup, but not with fitness? Does that make sense to you? Alzheimer's is coming down the pipeline. Menopause, folks, y'all gonna be gagging. You're losing muscle every year. That's part of why it's hard to lose weight. Did you know that? You're losing your grip strength. You're losing your balance. So this is not just about being cute. Do you want to be a sitting duck out in this piece? I don't know about it. I ain't telling no grown folks what to do. But when you don't see me on here, this is lifestyle. Whether you're in Brooklyn, whether you're in Barbados, whether you're in Belize, whatever job, whether you're shout out to the sisters that cleaning hotels and cleaning houses, or if you got a corporate job, I could give 2 peach pits about that. Any work that you're doing, hopefully is hard-earned money. Are you doing something with your money, reinvesting it in yourself? Are you wasting your time and energy with people that are complaining? That's on you. That's your responsibility. I'm just saying. Because my friend wouldn't take time to cry, slow up and work, he suffered a stroke. And the last couple of months, I've heard of several women nurses. My grandmother wanted me to be a nurse. I didn't want to be a nurse. Shout out to the nurses out there. Because I was like, I want to do juicing. I don't want to be in a hospital. I want to be in a garden and I want to be bringing juices. Why can't they put juices in the hospital? But I know of a couple of, did two die or one die? Or one died and one had a stroke. Young 40s. So you think you have the luxury to be eating trash recreationally and not taking care of your bodies? You think all them barbecue potato chips are not clogging up your arteries? So you got to be careful with social media and who you're taking advice from, because a lot of times folks are passing on bad advice. By the way, are you y'all, right? So it's coming out. Are y'all listening to the staggering numbers on the STDs in Texas? And y'all still listening to and taking instructions, because food and music is instruction. For why women don't walk away from this? Why do we not walk away from what's harming us and our children? Why do we not walk away? There's no arguing. It's in the garden. Why do we not walk away? Why do you keep supporting? Why do you keep opening your womb to mean angry people? That's on you. I gotta go. I gotta go. Why? What they say in Color Purple? Why? Why? Why do you keep opening your womb? Does that make one iota? Why are you open? There's no argument. Why are you opening your womb up to angry people? Why are you eating food from angry people, people that don't like you? Why are you eating old dead cadavers that are rotting? Why are you not eating? Why is your plate not full of fresh vegetables? Why? Does that make sense? So I like to say we got to reorganize stuff in our brain. It's crazy. I hear a lot of people not caring about their lives, and none of us is exempt. None of us exempt. I'm not perfect. I'm clear. I'm clear. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't do that I haven't done for years. And that meant not going with the crowd. When they was passing the blunt, I love my folks was like, nah, you could pass it right over me. Why? Because I ain't telling y'all what to do. I ain't judging, because I have some beautiful folks I love this that is raw stuff. Losses in my family. But I saw a pattern for me of laziness and lethargy. And I could read the pattern that people were depressed, right? I mean, come on, I've got some people. Again, I ain't telling young grown folks what to do. I'm talking to myself. Recommending ayahuasca and this. And I'm thinking like, yo, if your life is a hot mess, or if you don't have certain types of disciplines, you don't have communication skills, you're gonna go halfway across the world to a why do we not, what's wrong with our brain? You're gonna go halfway across the world for some plant medicine. Just call me simple. I don't know what's in it. We constantly let people just stick things in us, and you don't know what it is. That doesn't make sense. But the operating system, if you're making one decision that doesn't make sense, that's likely your operating system. So that's why we're not getting results, because our thinking and reasoning process is off. So we have lots of self-sabotaging, self-inflicted violence on our organs. That's telling us something. So we're not likely to be honest about that on social media, right? That's your responsibility to get clear and to cultivate discernment, right? What would you do if you couldn't read? You don't have enough common sense, right? We all have a divine onboard innate intelligence, right? If you tap into it, but we're often in survival mode, we're moving too fast, too much noise. That's why I love to get up at 4:00 in the morning, because you can hear there. But anyway, let me get out of here. Hopefully you all create a great day on purpose. You get your personal movement practice in. For the folks and new subscribers, welcome. Welcome to my channel. Ain't no bells and whistles over here. If you're not talking about the garden, if you're not talking about let's go to the wholesaler and share a case of limes and some sweet potatoes, if you're not talking about the 5 a.m. worker, then what are you talking about? How am I benefiting? I need reciprocal relationships. Yes, I'm a trainer and coach. I like to be poured into too. I like to be inspired too. A lot of times my clients are also inspiring me. But if nobody's around, I will look in that mirror and I will inspire myself. So what's the trajectory that you're on? What do you need your body to be able to do for you in the next 3 months, next 6 months, the next year? Can you run, jump, kick, and punch? Or you got a whole bunch of stuff in your underwear weighing 5 pounds dragging you down that has no nerve endings, that if you need to sprint, you can't get out of dodge. Come on, ladies. Create a great day on purpose. Like, comment respectfully, subscribe, and I will see you soon.